Hello everyone, this is Cookies, and I've got turn 44 of the tournament. Just got back in town and ready to see some Dominions. We have a barrage of Kalem attacks against Tianchi, it looks like. And a little bit of Tianchi counterattacking against Marignon, but not as much against Kalem, so let's go ahead and take a look. So we got a thugged out white mage with a GSS, couple of death gems. He's not going to get through his whole buff script. He does get blessing and mist form, it looks like, though. This is a shocking amount of magic. Where are the imps? Oh, they routed. They didn't have undead leadership. Okay, and then they HP routed the PD. So that's a victory for Tianchi. A Cassian Forest. We've got another thug. This time with a commander, so the imps will dive. Did he get off invulnerability? He did. So he's got protection versus mundane of 30. The frost brand should help a lot for clearing. Routes the imps. Alright, devils can be pretty spooky, but normally in packs against thugs. So, there we go. In Gold Mountains, we have a Horde from Hell. So I think Tianchi is using these Air 2s as magic phase options to clear out the Hordes from Hell. And then Marignon's continuing to leverage Horde from Hell as a way of taking provinces ahead of his armies, so his armies don't take attrition. Alright, we've got Atlantis going on to Agartha again. This time it's a little bit of an army. Do we have a defense? 1 PD? That's nifty. Alright. Then in Cassian Forest again, Marignon moves in. Presumably with some force. Alright, we've got the Communion. We've seen this party before. Probably not good for this thug to run into this. Does get invulnerability off, but I am concerned about him getting... Well, he's not twice-born. But Soulslay and Enslaved Mind are potentially on the table. He's got 14 MR, which isn't stunning. Let's check out what that Soulslave was rolling against. Did I miss the MR check? I could just be blind. Or are they casting? Okay. We have a few casts. Let's see it. Are we not logging the MR checks anymore on this guy? Let me see. So 12 versus 14, certainly not a difficult check, I would say. It might take a few, but it shouldn't take a lot. There it is. Alright, so loses a few imps, but kills the thug. Oh, but the imps were from LLPs, or the imp trainers, I guess. So it didn't even matter. Well done. In Boggiton, we've got Tianchi. We've got that spread merc line of heavy crossbows. We've got a group of Barb Heavy Cav with a Earth Mage buffing them. Rigor Mortis and Strength of Gaia. That's fun. Surrounded by a fair number of bodyguards in all cases. And we got another little buff box here. Some quickness. Another Earth Mage thug, who's also probably going to do some AoE buffs. And here we have the Marignon army A forward deployed communion, which against crossbows can certainly be hazardous to their health when they don't do turn 1 buffs. It wouldn't shock me if a few of them died here. We got the Lobo mercs, Lobo Guard mercs. I don't know where their commander is. Maybe he's in the box too. No, he's here in the Devils. Potentially gonna burn up to the heat cloud. Then we've got this guy putting Body Ethereal on the Devils, which is completely worth it. Potentially could have had him stand back here to do Body Ethereal, but then you might not get as reliable targeting. And it's not guaranteed he'll burn up. Alright. Did anyone die? Yeah, we have one Goetic Master die to a crossbow. Okay, but now we've got some buffs up. So we've got a protection buff. No, they just have 17 prot. We got some fire res, some poison res, it looks like. Rigor Mortis does indeed go up. Spell Ward. These guys still have 3 protection. I guess they're lucky now at least, but I wouldn't rely on luck. Relief, Rigor Mortis. That's by TNG. The Devils jump on these heavy infantry, including the white mages. Both of them are passed out. So we'll see if they get defended. There is a general here to try and help. Alright. I'll just kind of watch the rest. The spread line is meant to wear out the swordsman. We'll see if it works. Do have a thug in there. I'm curious if these guys got anti-magic. They did. So that's probably a big part of the reason they're still running around attacking. Alright. So we do get a Marignon victory. The fatigue play doesn't quite kick in time. This guy is killed. Let's see what kills him. Killed by light infantry. A little sad for an ancestor smith. 4 of them retreat. The merc captain dies. This chart maker burns out from the communion burning out. I'm assuming this guy's the same thing, and this guy gets killed by a crossbow, so loses the crystal mage. The general is killed. Goetic master is killed by a crossbow. This guy is killed by a greatsword. Right. This guy is killed by a greatsword. Okay. I mean, most of the Tianchi mages got out. Marignon did burn up their communion, so it won't be as potent next turn. Tianchi didn't lose that much stuff that mattered. He lost a merc company. He lost a pack of barb heavy horse, which are hard to replace when you're doing a 1v2, but they're more replaceable than sacreds. And he only lost 1 ancestor smith. It potentially is not the end of the world. Alright. So let's go ahead and... Wait, that was Boggiton? Alright. So Marignon lost a bunch of low bogard that don't matter. Lost devils. He kind of cares about them, but they're... The way they kind of jump in, because they don't have the numbers, it hurts to lose them, but it's kind of expected. 24 swordsmen he's not going to care about. 22 crossbows he won't really care about. So it's mostly the mage losses. They're not catastrophic, although losing the crystal mage and the goetic master, I think some of that was preventable with some turn 1 buffs. Well, maybe not for the goetic master. Doesn't have great buff pass. I mean, it depended on the random he got. But certainly could have been a little bit more protected, but he didn't take too much attrition. And the chart makers did score 26 kills. So, alright. In Glen of Justice, we've got Tianchi attacking Calum. Couple of thugs. Got an E2. So rigor mortis does go up. This guy's fatigued out. This guy just woke up and is doing raised dead. I'm a little bit worried this guy is going to kill this guy with soul vortex. Although they should have regen. This guy didn't hit himself with his own group regen though. Alright, but the thugs should do pretty okay against these Earthbound, who are starving, at least some of them. And then we've got a few Draconians and a few... Got a Harab Elder who's twice born. Greenstone armor on a mage who's not thugging. Spellcasting encumbrance of 19. This guy's Air 4. Damn. Just straight up. Okay. I mean, we'll see how we do. What is he doing? Is he thugging? I mean, that would help. Got another... Do have Rigor Mortis up by the Harabelder. So this is something Calum chose to do. Alright. Soul Vortex doesn't work on undead, so the Skelly spam was a good plan. Or, I guess is a good plan. We got some Drain Life. I mean, he gets almost all of them. That was well done by Calum. I don't know about that greenstone armor, but everything else looked good. So maybe he can add a comment about why he put that on that person, or maybe it was just loot. I don't know. Does knock out 3 thugs though. All the humans died. Loses 16 Earthbound, which does hurt a bit. But it seems like they've been falling off a little bit as the game goes on. Alright, in Bountiful Land, we've got Atlantis attacking Agartha. Pinging Agartha. It's 1 PD. In Ramesia, we've got Calum going after Tianchi. Got a Bakamoto. I don't think we need to watch that. Loses 2. In Doomna, we've got a white mage, a thugged out white mage, maybe doing some skelly spam. Runs into a pack of mixed barb heavy horse and sacreds though, with a fair number of mages buffing, it looks like. And Ravenous Swarm, which it should just probably auto-kill this guy. There he goes. Draconians dip out. Or they... Okay, now they rout. Took them a hot second. Okay. So, well done. Kills the white mage thug, who had storm armor, I believe, so that was a pretty solid kill by Tianchi. Only loses 1 barb heavy horse. In Gold Mountains, we have another Calum attack. A bunch of birds with Army of Mist. We got an Air 4 Yazada this guy. Okay. Oh, that feels bad. That feels real bad for Calum. I think he just got magic dueled. Which is certainly something Marignon can do. And we've got the Marignon army. We've got the Virtue here. Did take 2 chart makers down with them. But the 2 chart makers are definitely not worth a Yazada this guy. Do these guys even have leadership now? Yep, they're all gonna rout. They do gym bait, so he pulls out Blood Rain and a few other gems like the Magic Dual Pearls, but that one hurts. Okay. So, well done for Marignon there. Uh, what even is out of the sky? Oh no. Um, let's see. Oh, so it's a random that he wanted. A 1 of 6, and it's 40 pearls. Ouch. Okay. Yeah, those Caleb mages are really expensive. And you don't always have a great way to protect them. Alright. And Caverns of Gnek. Is this quickening? Quickness. Alright. Or kill him PD. In Black Marshes. We've got a devil. This guy should do fine against the devil. Alright. And then in Ultima Tifia, we've got Calum attacking again. We got another bird crew. This one led by a storm general. Can't get magic dueled. They're just going to clean up some PD. In Forbidden Forest, we've got a whole party of Earthbound. Doesn't seem like a lot of mage support. We do have this Twiceborn guy with some Earth Gems. So he's going to do Air Gem, summon Earth Power, Personal Iron Skin, Temper Flesh, Resist Lightning. Maybe it didn't trigger gem usage. I don't know. But he'll be Earth 4 if he ever decides to buff these guys. They should do fine there. Almost 60 Earthbound. In Rame, we've got a bunch of Raven Guard. They're going to go ahead and hop on this PD. They should do just fine. Assuming the general doesn't sit. Yeah. I was going to say the only way they could lose is if this was on attack rear and the heavy cav hit the commander. There is a mage here. There's a golem here. Okay, so the Raven Guard are toast. Okay. Where was that? That was in Rame. Alright. Tianchi then attacks Marignon and Uldalipa? I just realized that I think that Calum attacking Marignon, they're supposed to be somewhat allied. So that maybe signals a lack of communication. Because that was a pretty valuable force that Marignon just killed, assuming I'm pretty sure it was Marignon. Alright, we've got a little TNG army. We've got a Death 4 guy. He's probably going to do Rigor Mortis again. It does have a number of Death Mages here to try and take advantage. And some troops to try and wear out. But up against just PD. That was here. I suppose I should watch just enough to see if it gem baited or not. Alright, it doesn't look like it. Really quick. Yeah, Calum attacked Marignon here. So maybe they didn't divide stuff properly. I'm not sure. All right. And then in Forest of Gila, oh, I guess we've got another another raid by Calum in Coast Haven. We've got a bunch of Draconians. Okay. In Bara, we've got more birds. They're also going to murder PD. Yep. Alright. So there's that. In Sermiak, we've got man against Tianchi. A little Sacred Crew. Thought this might be some sort of Wrathful Skies play, but maybe it's not. Although this is on Tianchi. So hostilities have resumed. The wardens have come out. I don't think man's going to feel bad about this, though. Considering Tianchi was vulturing him. Although it looks like it cost him at least a few mages. Okay. Where was that? Was that Bara? No. Oh, that was Sermiak, because it was man. So he loses 2 Magisters. That sucks. Also 12 Wardens, but does take the province, and that was a fair amount of PD there. In Dendra, we've got Tianchi attacking Marignon. We got a little group of Barb Heavy Horse. Just a casual raid. Alright. Wait, that was here. Then in Tunnels of the Lost, we've got Horde from Hell. Alright. Well, like, Horde from Hell from last turn or something, just moving around. In Ufenred, we've got Calum attacking. We got the 3rd Heavenborn. This guy has actual protection and is also not an astral mage. So this little army should generally be in good shape. We have Storm going off. They do have Storm immunity, which is nice. The Draconians do not, though. And then we have Army of Mist. So I believe a couple of turns ago, Calum talked about wanting to have 2 Army of Mist casters, one for the north, one for the south. We did see him lose 1, but this army seems to be rolling around just fine. Alright. So loses 1 Draconian, 2 Stormguard, and Bonelands. We have a bunch of Raven Guard again. Looks like just a little bit of PD. And then we've got 2 Fortress Storms. And I believe these might be the 2 Thrones. So we have Glen of Justice, a little bit of Earthbound, and a few Mages. That's potentially why the Greenstone armor. So the question is, it does look like he has enough. Right, and we've got the Gem Burn mod on, so he will be able to do Rigor. We don't have to worry about that. There's not much inside. So the Soul Vortex is meant to pull and restore fatigue from the Draconians that are bodyguarding them. And then we've got Army of Mist to put Mist Form on everyone so they're less susceptible to the Wall Archers who do not get fatigue. And then we've got Rigor Mortis to hopefully put everything else to sleep. And then he'll probably try to skelly spam through this. Unfortunately, this guy is alive. And with the greenstone armor, he fatigues out like crazy. But he's technically routed, so it's probably fine that he's passed out. And again, shooting doesn't cost fatigue, so these guys are just now racking up fatigue from rigor mortis themselves. Oh, all these guys are routed. Okay. So that should be a Calum victory. Yep, and captured the fortress. Did lose the caretaker. Seems like just a mage they recruit. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with Calum. Loses one earthbound though. But that's worth it for a... I believe that's a throne. In Felden Forest, we've got a few more mages storming a fort. I do not know about... These guys do not seem armored. So you can see one already took an arrow, wants to run away. Well, he's not going to get the chance. He's very much dead now. The Pretender is risking the gifts from heaven. I think could survive one hit. So we've got Solar Brilliance up. There's a whole army in here, including Tianqi's Pretender, a Golem, a number of mages, a whole lot of point buffing. We got the gifts from heaven that we've seen. What is this guy casting? Oh, this guy did the Solar Brilliance. Okay. Trying to kill any undead white mages. Alright. So, let's see what Kaka's got planned. Bone grinding. Did he get interrupted right there? It's been interrupted twice by composite bows. Nope. Okay, Creeping Doom about to come out. A whole bunch of the bugs burn up immediately. Now well within from dying from gifts from heaven. Tianqi puts a pal and relief and Solar Brilliance, expecting the sort of rigor mortis play we've been seeing. Alright, really quick. I'm gonna go... Actually, I should just go through the commander list. I kind of want to see who's crippled. But that's the thing. He's got, I think, 2 or 3 healers here. So the bone grinding is going to be less effective than normal. And it looks like he didn't get any of the really valuable mages. Did he get the golem? No. I'm not sure if the other stuff matters as much. Like, this guy, he got blinded, but this guy being limp, I mean, it sucks, but he's still 24 map move. Because I think the mount has to be limp. Ooh. The Pretender doesn't care. Okay. The bone grinding probably didn't go as hard as he wanted it to. I think part of that is because he didn't have pin gear and he only did 1 cast. And in the prior finals, a lot of the bone grinding plays I think worked because of either innate caster, casting before protection buffs came out, or because they weren't scripted. And yeah, because it was a demi-lich and the statue. So this bone grinding might have just come out a little bit too slow. Oh, the tiger gets in there and kills him. All right. Well, solar brilliance was definitely an interesting play, doing that on your own living army. But when you've got healers in that fort, it makes more sense. All right, so he defends Felden Forest. Loses 62 corpse constructs. That's not a big deal. 8 crossbows. Yeah, I mean, pretty solid since the Raven of the Underworld home. Caleb will have to call God to get it back. As far as I know, it's not. Doesn't have any sort of immortality, just Corpse Eater. And alteration rituals are cheaper again. So let's take a look at the map. So TNG is definitely getting eaten right now. Will not survive this war. Caleb fails on Felden Forest. We do see Caleb on Red as well, and on Coast Haven. Is he going to have to yield Patala to Marignon, probably? I think Man's going to try to claim Sermiak. We'll see how Marignon feels about that. Does catch Glen of Justice, which is the Throne of Death. I'm curious to see if he claims that and goes to Death 4. We do have an assassination here. Diseased Demon kills a commander. We can check if he's got gear. I doubt it, though. Does not. Okay. I don't see any other little shadow icons. So yeah, Tianqi's toast, but Tianqi's definitely taking a pound of flesh this turn. We had the really awkward bump between Caleb and Marignon. Where was that? That was here? No. Caleb versus Marignon. Oh, so, and they had, no, they didn't have their retreat route cut, but Marignon picking this up, I think, is going to reinforce the narrative that Caleb is spreading that Marignon's going for a throne rush. Because this is very much out of his way a little bit. I mean, Tianqi's sieging this, so it's a little bit of a peninsula in terms of border core. Caleb did take this throne. Alright, so where does that put Marignon and thrones? 1, 2. This is only sieged, and it's not a serious siege. We don't see more troops here. This is still independent. So we're still not quite at Throne Rush territory yet. There's not an army in place to take Glen of Justice. I mean, it's over here, I guess. And then he would still have to take out the monolith. I'm not sure that Marignon's gonna try and throne rush, at least until Wizard Tower comes out, because I think he'll want, or through Red Seconds, because I think he'll want to Magic Phase Fort the monolith throne when he takes it. Alright. Pretty serious setback losing that Yiz out of the sky. That's not an easy random to get from the spell. And then Can Caleb claim this Throne of the Artificer? Maybe. I'm not sure if people are going to start fighting over the spoils either. I could see Marignon and Man bumping over Sirmiak. I could also see maybe Marignon and Man talking about killing Caleb, now that Caleb spans a whole column, just about. Just a one province gap, kind of, from doing that. Tianqi's not entirely dead yet either. Still has some fighting capable forces, still has a couple of golems rolling around. So folks are going to have to be careful. It's definitely a little bit of a feeding frenzy. So we'll see if we get some fighting over spoils between Caleb, Marignon, and Man. When it comes to Atlantis and Agartha, we have a giant man army here of Wardens and Kushi. Okay, this is the Wrathful Skies army, or at least it feels like it. It did not go into Frosted Peaks and attack Atlantis. So I wonder if it's going to head towards this area and maybe try to force Marignon out of some territory. He's not really set up to fight Marignon on his southern border. I mean, we'll see. I am curious where it's going, because if it's going over here, it definitely would have been faster to go through Black Peaks, Hailmire, and then up, rather than through Kunaral. Kunaral really just said, I want to attack Atlantis. But the sidestep says he doesn't, so I'm not sure. For Agartha, we've got the Bountiful Land stand. The dragons in this army, so it looks like Atlantis might make another crack at this army. I'm not sure if he'll pull this army off of Agartha. And then he still hasn't cracked Frosted Peaks with its 1500 wall integrity. That just takes forever. I think he's been sieging that. It feels like a year, honestly. Okay. So I think we've got some wars winding down. Tianxi, I think still has another pound of flesh left to take before they go down, but it does look like they're going to die. I feel like that pound of flesh is going to come from Caleb, and I'm not sure Caleb's prepared to give it, which might set up Marignon for that throne rush that Caleb's thinking Marignon might go for. And I'm not sure what Man's intentions are with this army here in Ketra. If he's planning to go after Sirmiak, or, potentially bumping Marignon over it. If Marignon goes after Patala, that's probably fine. But, I mean, this bump here kind of indicates that there wasn't a ton of cooperation. Or maybe this bump was intentional. So we'll have to see Caleb's response to that bump, because I can't imagine he's thrilled about losing that Yazad. So maybe we'll see the coalition flip a bit, but I don't know that you make peace with Tianqi at this point. It's probably not worth it. Also had a disease demon kill this Master of the Way, who had a Dwarven Hammer, so that's a good get. And yeah, I think that's it. Where do disease demons pop up in here? Is that something else I'm not allowed to cast? Or even see? Alright, let me look that up really quick, because I'm curious. That seems like new tech. So that's Blood 6. Whereas Horde from Hell is blood 5. Alright, so Horde from Hell is blood 5. We've got an indication of blood 6 now with Infernal Disease. And then 3 red seconds, I believe, is blood 8. Yeah. And I think that's when Marignon triggers their Throne Rush. And if Calum takes a lot of attrition, trying to stomp out the remains of Tianchi, especially those golems and the cat, I don't know that they'll be strong enough to try and stop Marignon. I don't know that Man's strong enough, although he has a couple of armies, and Gifts from Heaven will always cause some sort of attrition. So I think in terms of the geopolitics, I think we need Atlantis to take a clean fight with Agartha for Atlantis to try and stop a throne rush. If Atlantis loses another army, I think it could be difficult. We'll probably see Calum and Marignon fight. That bump was maybe intentional to weaken Calum. And so, because Marignon could then push for the other throne that Calum just took. Where is it? Glen of Justice. That might be the last one that Marignon needs. So Marignon really needs this area. It really needs Patala secured. So he might not fight Man over Sermiak. It's probably not core to his long-term objectives. I think you'll want Patala so you can project power out towards these 3 thrones. But primarily the Glen of Justice, because then that would be 4, and then 5 if he manages to secure this. We'll see if Calum tries to fuck with him. I mean, Calum's got a lot of stuff in the Conjuration discount. And then Marignon's going to have to try and get an army up to Packwoods and secure that as well. But he's on 4 thrones. He's getting dangerously close to doing that throne rush. And I do think Blood 8 will be the trigger point for taking the Throne of Earth. So I think a key player is Atlantis finishing up their first war. Everyone else is on their, like, what feels like second or third war. This war has been raging a long ass time because it started later. We're on turn 44 now. But if Atlantis loses this fight against Agartha, I don't know that Atlantis will be able to pivot, maybe project power towards these 2 thrones to try and stop Marignon. How's Calum looking on thrones? Doesn't own this, doesn't own this. Has 1 throne. Do they really? Oh, they have Glen of Justice, I guess. So they're on 2. Potentially, assuming they take Felden, which is not going to be easy, as we just found out. They've got not much left in the tank either. So Tianchi might just be strong enough to really kind of ruin this for Calum. And then Marignon might have just enough momentum to secure victory. But it's still pretty precarious even for Marignon. You know, you've got the siege on the Agartha fort that's like 3 dudes and a dream. I guess right now it's a scout. And that's contingent on Calum letting you keep like almost all of this, which they certainly don't have to. I do think this could start a war, and that's what I'm kind of waiting to see. I kind of wonder if Marignon wants this war. I'm not sure if they're completely ready in the Satis region. They seem kind of strung out, not a ton of retreat routes. But they seem somewhat ready in the Yellow Mountains area. They replace troops pretty quickly. Their troops, I think, trade reasonably well with Kalem's. They're a lot harder hitting with similar protection values. So, yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. And then Infernal Disease is just going to be a nightmare for Kalem. And clearly, Marignon's got 2 casters, which is also probably just the beginning of how oppressive that can get. So we'll have to see what happens. And I will see you guys in the next one in turn 45. Have a good one. Bye.